Welcome. My name is LeAnn. This is Lead with LeAnn. Welcome. And this is your definitive guide for exceptional leadership and successful entrepreneurship, other than, once in a while, a really crazy video. Airing every week at 2 p.m. Pacific time, exclusively on winwinwomen.tv. I am your host, LeAnn, and I am thrilled to be sharing this journey with you each week on Lead with LeAnn. You'll join me as we delve into the inspiring stories of established leaders and innovative entrepreneurs like today's guest. We'll cover just what it takes to build a brand from scratch, lead with authority and grace, and turn business aspirations into tangible success. Our show is not only about imparting knowledge, it's about creating a community. It's a space for us to laugh, to learn, and to leap forward in our quest for professional and personal growth. Whether you're embarking on a new entrepreneurial venture or looking to inject some fresh energy into an existing one, there will always be insights for you. So get ready for thought-provoking conversation, enlightening insights, actionable advice, and the support of a network that champions the win-win philosophy. Learn to lead with passion, purpose, and determination right here on Lead with LeAnn. And today it is my pleasure. I will be introducing you just shortly to Gigi M. Green. She is an award-winning creative professional and a two-time American best-selling author. Owner of Kiome, which is a multimedia production company of literary, digital, and audio content, which has the mission of creating more inclusive storytelling. She believes writing is so much more than words on paper, but also as a representation of freedom, and she encourages everyone, especially women, to write a book as part of their legacy. So please give a warm welcome. Gigi, are you there? Come on forward. Yay, there she is. Welcome. Yay. I should have a little sound studio. Woo. And
There we go.
there
I
we go.
am. Hello.
So good to see you again. It's been forever. I haven't talked to you since last year.
Exactly. How long has it been? How are you?
Oh, so good. So what did I miss? How was the intro?
It was fantastic. Amazon, writing, building a company, traveling. You hit it all.
So I'm going to flip the script from my normal. And I'm
Okay.
going to ask you right up front. When
Okay.
you were 6 or 7, is this what you pretended your life would be?
If I say yes,
I will not be
does that
surprised.
sound a little, but yes, it is.
I'm
Um,
not surprised at all.
when I was six-ish, I'm from the Midwest, so my grandmother watched what they call the stories, so Guiding Light and Young and the Restless and everything else. And she also loved game shows. So she would watch Price is Right. And every time they said, come on down, I was like, what? They're talking to me. They have to be talking to me. So I always wanted to be a writer. I always wanted to do something creative. And it all started with watching television with my grandmother. So, yes, when I was little, I believed I could do it, which is, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but yes, I did.
Well, I don't think it's a good or bad thing. I think it's a good thing because what I've found talking to more than one entrepreneur is that the happiest, most fulfilled, and often most successful entrepreneurs are doing what they played when they were little.
Yes. I still remember playing like a theater in my room. I'm the youngest and the girl of the family. So I would have my little canopy and I've had all my stuffed animals, and they would be not only my crew, but they would be my cast. And I would write a little play. I thought I was doing something at that age, but
Oh,
yes, I was doing it then too.
yeah, I wrote songs, I did choreography, we
Exactly.
did the little dance to Funky Town. The one of the singers, by the way, Funky Town, the main singer,
Right.
Minneapolis. She's from Minneapolis. I've seen her in the
Oh,
past, I'll say decade at this point. But
okay.
yeah, she's still actively singing here in Minneapolis.
I love that.
Yep, very fun. So it was just a straight line journey then. You thought you were going to do it when you were 6 or 7, and when you were 12, you started your company, and that's how it's all just been perfect ever since, right?
Of course, no obstacles, nothing.
Perfect. Well,
Not
it's been
quite.
really nice having you here.
Thank you. Right. I wish it was that easy. I definitely hit some obstacles. Like I tell everyone, please make sure your adaptability muscle is strong because you're going to hit some roadblocks. Um, but yeah, I moved around a lot, went to college. I thought I was going to go into entertainment law. And then my mom passed. So in the middle of law school, dropped out of law school,
Oh,
ended up moving to another state. And this all comes to something good. So hold,
yeah.
hold that condolences. She's resting in peace and had a great life. So everything is all good. We miss her, but everything is all good. Um, Took some different turns in my life, started family, and then I ended up going to a producer's uh, conference, so to speak. They had a few different things, but it was mainly producers and people like that. Met someone who was working in comedy at the time, was working on a show for Disney, and we hit it off. They ended up giving me a job. I never thought I would be working in anything comedy. I'm more of a drama writer, and but great memories. Stayed there for 3 seasons, and during that time, I ended up getting promoted to different positions and ended up writing for other people. And that changed my life. I didn't know as a child what I wanted to do in creativity, in entertainment, in writing, whether it be theater, TV, film, what have you. I just knew I wanted to be there doing something. So I'm always grateful for that. And that has led me to do so many other things like the books and the podcast and starting my own company and everything like that. So not quite a straight line, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
A very blessed line.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, I often do think of that cartoon though, you're here, you want to go here, you picture it's like this. In reality, it looks more like, fishing tangled, like, you know, because it is, Now you mentioned, you used a very interesting word, and I know words matter.
Yes.
That you said that you have to have what muscle strengthened? Your adaptability.
Adaptability.
Yeah.
Because it's change. You have to be able to adjust and be flexible. And sometimes you get a different job and you have to move, or people can get married or get a divorce or have children or finish college, start college. Life happens. And so you have to be adjustable. You have to be flexible in your life and just stay focused on what the end goal is, even if it doesn't go the straight path.
Yeah. I joke, and I have 2 adult daughters, and I love them to pieces, and we're thankfully close. And I do joke though, the whole, "Let's have a baby, it'll be fun," we said, as you're then dealing with the poop up the back and the all the sleepless nights and the fights with the neighborhood kids, and you're like, "This was supposed to be, like, the best years of my life," and I'm, like, dealing with separating children, and it just you don't know what it's gonna be like till you get there. Empty nested now, again, you think it's gonna be one particular way, and many, many couples or single people empty nested too find it's just very different. Ours have not moved home, but it could. It could happen, right?
Yes, and at least with daughters, boys, they just urinate all the time. You could be changing them and it's right in your face, it's all over the place. It's okay. But we love them. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But the point being that the change, even when you think you know what you're doing, let's have a baby. We're going to start a family. We're going to have kids for 20 years. They're actually not kids for 20 years. They're your children forever.
Mhm.
And that's a good thing. I'm blessed. I still have my parents and I thank God for that all the time.
That
Um, my mother lost her mother at a fairly young age. And so, I do think about how blessed I am to be able to I accidentally dialed her right before the show started. I'm like, "Oh, hey, didn't mean to call you, but didn't want to hang up." Right?
I love that. That is one of the things I wrote about when I wrote my book about, I called it Cleaning Her Closet. I wrote about my mother. And one of the things that I wish I would have kept was all her voicemails.
Mhm.
So now when I want to hear her voice, I got to try to remember it.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
You tell me about an abrupt change that you've had to an abrupt adaptation that you had to make at one point.
Hmm. I would say working on my first podcast.
Yeah.
Um, It was a scripted podcast. I didn't realize at the time that they are much more difficult than a interview podcast and not visual, just the audio podcast.
Mhm.
I thought, oh, I'm a writer. I can do this. So I had to learn how to edit. I had to learn to cast. I had to learn how to direct. Um, I had to learn to do some voice talent myself. And even with all of that, at the end, I still found there were missing lines. There were things I wish I could have got that the moment has passed now, we got to go with it. But we were able to figure it out. I got really strong people that are in that field is in editing and everything to help me work through it. And it came out great. But it's one of those things again where even when you think you're ready,
Yeah.
you get something where you goes, not quite. So just staying aware and believing in yourself and making sure that you can get through it and having people around you, you can come through whatever you need to.
Absolutely. How about something you weren't ready for?
Ooh. When I wrote my first book,
Mm,
I wasn't ready for the marketing.
the
I
what?
wasn't ready for how important that is.
The marketing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now it's definitely one of those things that I help my clients with. Think about the marketing even before the book is finished. I was thinking, being a new writer of novels, not a new writer in general, but I was thinking you put out a book, it's going to be on Amazon and people will buy it. And no, that's not quite how it works. So, learning about marketing and learning to um, not be afraid to put yourself out there. I didn't realize how much of an introvert I am, even though people think I'm not. But marketing, putting yourself out there and learning about branding and all those things that come with everything else than just writing the book.
Absolutely. Yep. It's yeah, I mean I had a we had my husband and I had a manufacturing business and one day we didn't. And talk about adaptability, the need to literally we went from having a business, we had a business, we had employees, we had, sales, we had all the stuff you do when you have a retail wholesale business. And then one day we didn't. And it took 6 weeks to actually close the doors, but 6 weeks. It's a
Yeah,
pretty quick transition from being a independent business owner to now what? And, the next morning, I woke up and I'm like, "Well, nothing's gonna change if I don't change it," and I went to work. And that's the kind of adaptability I think you're also talking about.
it's so interesting you bring that up because you can read all the business books you want, but there's certain things you will not know
Mm.
until you actually start doing it. There's nobody that's going to tell you, hey, you know that thing about financing a business? You should do this. You can read about it. You know that thing about building your brand? You know that thing? Mm-mm. You have to kind of go through, fall down, say, oh, okay, I got it now. Make your mistakes, build on that, get better. It just comes with the territory.
It just does. Absolutely. I love learning about myself. Do you happen to know your strengths finders? Have you ever done that?
I have not.
Okay. Strengths finders is fun.
Okay.
It's Clifton strengthsfinders.com. It's like $15, really cheap. Takes a few minutes. It's a time test.
Okay.
Um, but what I found when I got my results is that they give you, there's, I think 32-ish number, a good number of what they call strengths. And then you find out your top five. You can pay to learn your 10. You can pay to learn your 32. But
Mm,
if you look at 32 exponential, that's a really, really big number.
right.
That means 32 times 31 times 30 times, yeah, all the way down for those not knowing. And it's a big number. They say that that number is greater than the number of humans that have ever been on Earth. And that's the number of personalities that, theoretically, the strengths that we have. So in a given city, I live in a city of 3.5 million people. It's very unlikely there's anybody that has the same top five strengths as I do.
Hmm.
And so in my top five are strategic, achiever, intellection, belief, and positivity. Surprise. Um, and I like to explain the middle one is intellection. It actually isn't about being smart. It's just a way that I piece things together that's in kind of a unique way. Somebody who's a maximizer breaks things down. They'll do something, then break it all the way back down and rebuild it again. That's
Mhm.
not me. I'm like, that worked, doing it again. Maybe I'll fix it a little.
Mhm.
So there's different ways that our brains and minds work. StrengthsFinder helps with that. It's really quite fun. Have you
Okay.
ever done other personality tests that have really like when I saw it, I was like, that's totally how I operate. It's how I operate with my friends, my family, with business. It all applies.
I did I believe it's the Meyer-Briggs.
Yeah.
I did that one, and I believe I'm an INTJ, which I think it comes off more reserved. Um, it's a little more introspective. Uh, I love to research, so details and figuring things out. Um, I love those things. And I believe I'm more of a one-on-one person.
Hmm.
I am big crowds. So yeah, I learned a lot by doing the Myers-Briggs, and some of them were very accurate, and some of them like, oh, I didn't know that about myself, or
Yeah.
not
Right.
true to me personally, but I could see it being true to INTJs as a whole.
Oh, well, I just remembered this. Clifton StrengthsFinder was based on the poll, Clifton Polls. I think that's a polling company, is how anyway, they decided because they're in between election years or something, that what they
Right.
were doing actually is they were polling CEOs of successful companies,
Hmm.
basically. And they did personality inventories of these people. That's how they came up with the 32. What they were looking for is there a way for us to figure out those people tend to have this set of traits? The answer was no. They
Okay.
were all over. And so whatever your strengths are, it's not a predictor of you're going to be a CEO or you're not. There's other things that may or may not, like being adaptable,
Yeah, absolutely.
help that to happen. Just took an assessment I'd never taken before. I've done the disc before, and at
Okay.
this time it was the disc plus something else, and I'm struggling to remember the name of it. But it actually showed that there was a theoretical bar, and I'm below the norm for theoretical. And that was actually considered good because I don't just I in my situation, it's considered good because I
Yeah.
don't just learn for the sake of learning. I learn for the purpose of applying.
I love that. Mhm.
Yeah. So, it's totally true. I mean, I love books. I love to learn, but every time I'm reading a book, here's my most recent one, The Referral of a Lifetime is right here, of course. And it's like, how can I apply? How can I do this? How can I make this happen in my company? How can I make this happen the next time I'm networking? Right?
Similar to that, I learned about writing. It's more than just knowing the steps, whether it's conflict, what have you. But it's also about how and why you're doing those steps.
Yeah.
And so tying into that, yes, I can see where that's very helpful, not just reading to read, but to apply it to know why you're reading it. Yeah, that makes sense. That's
Yeah.
helpful.
Actually, I had to look it up. It's called Motivators.
Okay.
So it was disc and motivators. So I learned my disc profile, which he's like, I'd really like if you take the disc. I'm like, just tell you what you're gonna find. And then the other fun fact is he found that my natural and my adaptive styles on this huge chart were right
Right.
here and here. They're like right next to each other, which isn't common either. But it does speak to, somebody who has that basically knows
Mhm.
who they are and they don't really change. You're not going to get me a different me on a different day, no matter what's going on.
We
So,
like hearing that.
what's that?
But we like hearing that.
A lot of people do. Yes. Yes, indeed. So, let's see, tell us a little bit more about your business today. Tell us about Kiyomi.
Absolutely. So Kiame is
Yeah.
a digital media production company, and we focus on creative writing and helping business owners tell their brand and tell their story in an inclusive way. So whether it's a podcast or they want to write a book, or even if they just have a blog on their website, we help them dig into what's your story? Why are you doing this? How can you explain to people the importance of working with you? And adding inclusivity. We love to work with women. We love to work with people of color. We love to work with people who are working in different fields that you would usually not see women in. So even if it's writing or entertainment, are they working behind the scenes? Are they working in construction? Are they working as plumbers? Like, we're very open to not only diversity in general, so sexuality, race, gender, all of those things, but also different perspectives as well.
I just found out one of my favorite marketing people is a licensed electrician and a woman. I knew she was a woman, but I didn't know about the electrician part.
So excited. We had our roof fixed on one of our properties a couple years ago, and um, it didn't say her name on the. I think it was. I forget the name of the company. I wish I could shout her out, but um, it didn't say her name. It just said the company name. And so when she showed up, I was almost crying, and she was like, "Okay." She was more like, "Relax, calm down." But I was so happy to see her because I don't see a lot of women roofers or women plumbers or whatever. And going back to writing, women sci-fi writers or just things that are different. I'm just a big supporter of women uh, expanding and stretching ourselves because we can do
I love that too.
it.
Sorry. I'm always going to bring a little bit of like what's newest in my world into these conversations too. So also on that, my individualistic was and I was like, he goes, yeah, and he said, yeah, you're naturally creative. You want to do it your own way. You're gonna go out and like, yep, pretty much. But not three standard deviations over the norm, which is a lot. So it's kind of fun. But yeah, I do love to learn about myself and again, not just for the sake of learning it, but apply it and say, boom, that's why I do this or that, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So tell me that in keeping that in mind, I mean, you've worked with a lot of different and unique people. Do you have a favorite story to share?
One that I can tell on air. Oh my.
Uh-huh. You don't have to name names. You can just be roughly
Um,
or not. Your choice, your business.
entertainment stays in entertainment. I will say some of the stories that I am very happy about is every time we do a production, I'm always going back to filling people in inclusive storytelling in different roles. I'm always happy to fill roles with people who haven't done them before. So, excuse me. So, one of the things that I do really enjoy and have great memories of is finding out what people want to do and then making sure they are able to do that position in our projects or helping them move in that direction. I'm very proud of we've been able to help people get into the union. We've been able to help people, as I said, get their first credit. We've been able to help people write their first book. So those are the memories that I keep at the forefront. And I have a lot of fun doing it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
We can't take this stuff with us. Probably, maybe can't even take memories with us. But what we do and the impact we have in the lives here, that's priceless.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yep, indeed. Wow. So what's next?
Ooh, what is next? So we are finishing up the first season of Stone, presented by Kiome, which is the scripted drama podcast. That's out now everywhere you listen to podcasts. And then we have the after show coming up, which is a topic from each of the episodes. So it's getting into more of the community where we'll talk about mental health. We will talk about um, the workplace. We will talk about gender, lots of fun topics coming up. And then continuing to push the book and helping people write, helping people start their podcasts, and helping people tell their story.
Wow. What's that process look like, helping people tell their story?
Absolutely. Well, first, when clients come to me or if they go to anybody, the first thing that they should start with is their self assessment and figuring out not only where they are, but how they got there. So when they go forward, they won't bring that baggage with them. We find sometimes so many people will not um, clear up things before they start a new venture. So starting with the self-assessment, and then we take them through talking about the niche that they want to go into. So when we figure out why they're doing the podcast or writing the book, um, what niche do you want to go into and why is that important to you? Because we try to do things where we're helping people do things for the next 3 to 5 years and not just a one-off that they hide away, but something that can help them with their next project or be a legacy for their family. So then we take them through the steps of helping them become a writer because sometimes people are writers that come to us and they just want to help with certain aspects of writing. And sometimes people are not writers at all, but they have a great idea. And so we go through that process, and then it's the actual development and production and post production and having them leave with the product and enter into the world.
And these books, these stories, I mean, are they all over the place? Are they sometimes personal stories, sometimes fiction, sometimes nonfiction?
Absolutely. So many people that come to us are business owners and they want to tell their story about their company. We
Sure.
also have people come to us that want to tell fictional stories. So maybe it's more genre, maybe it's horror or drama, a, a love story or something like that. And we help them break that down too.
And you say we, so it's you have a team.
I do have a team. It's mostly me, but when I say we, when it comes to the book development or it comes to book covers or it comes to editing of the podcast, I have help with that. I can do those things, but I try to focus on helping the person get through the writing of it. And if they're not doing a scripted podcast, then I can help them through that process.
Got it. Okay, good to know. So I'm going to touch on our leaps because we had
Okay.
set a couple of leaps.
Okay.
And then we are going to switch over for our live audience watching on the custom live streaming. You might want to go grab a computer or come on over on your phone, go to winwinwomen.tv, and you too can join our live audience. We have a live audience here. We will be stopping this live streaming and the recording. So it's a private conversation when we get to that point. If you want to keep in there and be part of it, we'd love to have you over. So winwinwomen.tv is how you get to this live broadcast. But we're gonna still touch on these 3 tips. You said, 3 takeaways that you've learned in business or that you want to share with people. So just a quick response. You said, lack of self-care is the enemy of good business. I thought to be in business, you had to like give it all.
Who said no sleep? But I love that. I love that. Self-care is everything. Self-care is everything. We need the energy. We need to keep our bodies healthy. We need to make sure we are mentally sane. Believe me, I've been there. I've done the nights where I'm staying up until 4 o'clock in the morning and working, and it's just not good for us mentally, emotionally, or physically. So self-care is everything. Take the time, take the breaks, and then come back to it. It's not going anywhere, and we just need to be mentally, physically, and emotionally present to actually take on everything we're trying to do in our business.
Absolutely. So never, no all.
Well, I've been guilty of a few late nights, but I would definitely say don't make it a habit.
I'm in agreement with not making it a habit. Once in a while, you just wake up at midnight and you're like, really? It's only midnight. But
Exactly.
you've got this idea and sometimes you just got to go with it. But yeah,
I did
self
that last night.
self-care the next day if you can.
I did that last night. I woke
Yeah.
up and I couldn't get this idea out of my head, and I grabbed my phone and I went and I started recording, speaking into
Yep.
my memo about this is a great idea for this.
Yep. I have pre-written a few chapters of the book I'm working on, and it happened at 3:14 in the morning, and it's all on audio. So there you go for now. You also, leap number 2, you said, and I have heard this throughout everything we've shared today, that your story is important. Have you ever worked with somebody that didn't believe that?
Absolutely. And without names, I'll keep it as private as possible. But I had the pleasure of consulting with a young lady, and she was going through a lot of things in her family, and she had always been um, taught that she didn't matter. And even in the way she spoke, I could tell that she believed it. And it chokes me up a little bit, even now, just thinking about it, because as she started to tell her story, it was so rich, but she didn't believe that. Um, she was not open to even receiving just how beautiful her story is, and getting it out not only would help her but would help someone else. So absolutely, your story matters. Even when we think it's just fun, there's times I just write, a crime story, a love story, or whatever, but I never just write it just for fun. There's always a question in there, or a lesson in the story, or something that can always make somebody think or help someone else, because stories help people think. They help people know they're not alone. So, absolutely, stories matter.
No, that for as big a reader as I am, and I really enjoy some good crime fiction.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not, I can't say for certainty that that I've still read every single Mary Higgins Clark book, but at least 95%. The last few years she may have gotten away from me, but she's also getting older herself. But I'd never really thought about what you just said, that, why? What's in that? I like it first of all, it's fiction while I still get to use my brain. Because
Yeah.
yeah, the most disappointing book I ever read, I knew who did it in the chapter two.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, the whole part of belonging, and oh, that's going to be some food for thought for me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Welcome.
And I think you kind of answered the third leap at the same time, letting people know that they are enough, you know?
Oh yeah. I definitely went through some of that just in growing up as a woman, not anything in particular, but just, am I tall enough? Am I short enough? Are you pretty enough? Are you smart enough? Or just in being a person, you can go through that. Am I enough? Am I enough to start a business? Am I enough to be successful? Am I enough to write this book? Am I enough to be a producer on projects?
Mm.
And once again, until you actually do it, I cannot say how much the confidence building of actually putting in the work has helped me with that. And so now, instead of even thinking first, am I enough for this? Instead of can I do it, I always try to start with how can I make that happen?
Mm-hmm.
I want to do this thing. How can I make that happen? Who do I know that can point me in the right direction? And so changing that whole mindset with just a few words. Once again, words are powerful, words are important. Um, just changing that a little bit helps me and other people, if they work on that, know that they're already enough.
And going right back to words, I'm like, okay, enoughness. Is
Yeah.
that like worthiness?
Hmm. Absolutely.
Is there a difference?
I'm sure there is a difference because there's two different words. But I would say
They're very similar.
enough. I will say they're similar. Enoughness and worthiness both, I always say it starts with you. You had a great quote, I believe it was John C. Maxwell, and you were talking about starting with you. You were talking about, I wrote it down because it was so profound.
Mm.
Um, oh, I want to make sure because I love it. Oh, and you said improving yourself is the first step to improving everything else. And I agree with that so much because it's always about starting with you. So I feel like even though they're two separate words, enoughness and worthiness, they're still at the end of the day about what you think of yourself. It starts with you. Once you release that power and allow everyone else to tell you what your worth is, what if you are enough for anything, you no longer are starting with you. Now you're letting everyone else dictate your worthiness and enoughness. So both of them can start with you and they should start with you.
That is beautiful. Wow. We have an audience here and we have a live stream audience as well. And often these are replayed. And what you just shared right there was so powerful. And I know that you were speaking, well, somewhat to me, as well as to many other people who will see this over time. So I just want to say thank you, Gigi. Thank you for being here. Thank you for who you are and what you've done. Um,
Mhm.
I'm more than blessed to have you here on this show. So thank you. And with that, we are going to transition into our Q&A time, which is private. So we will end the call recording, but anybody here in the audience is able to stay. And we have a gift
Yes.
that Gigi has offered. So Everybody here will get this live. We can get this here. Otherwise, if you've subscribed, we will email it out so that you can receive it as well. And do you want to say what that is, or do you want me to read it?
Yes, I will say it. I'm so excited about it because, like LeAnn said, I want everyone to write. I think everyone has a story, and it's so important to me that I wanted to give a gift, especially for LeAnn's audience, which is um, if you go to payhip.com/Kiome, Kiome, you can click on a 30-day writing prompt journal, which will help you start your character building. If you are writing a book, if you want to do a podcast, even if you're writing on your blog, it will take you through prompts that can help you get started in the writing process. So there's no more excuse for writer's block, or you're afraid to do it, or you didn't know what to write. You can go through the prompt. And in honor of today being January 29th, I'm giving a special discount of $1.29. So there's no excuse. But with that, not only
Absolutely.
do you get that for so low of a price, there's also a free tip sheet of 3 ways that will help you with unlocking writer's block that you will get with that for LeAnn's audience.
Well, there you go. You heard it here. Thank you for that generous offer. That's so clever. The 120. Excellent. Well, thank you again. If you are on our custom live stream, this is your last, chance. Come on over, winwinwomen.tv. This will be right at the top. You can click the green button, join us live. We'd love to see you. If you're watching the recording or you're here in our live audience, we're so blessed to have you here as well. I will be back next week, 2 p.m. Pacific time, every Monday with another amazing entrepreneur. Can't wait. Just wait. Just wait. She's amazing too. I don't know how I find all these amazing people. I'm just blessed because I get to talk to them and you get to listen. And thank you for being here and supporting our show. Gigi, thank you for being here today. I just really feel blessed, as I've said about 13 times, maybe 14 now. So, and we will transition now. So, audience, come on over and we'll see you really soon. And I'm going to switch to our one moment. I'm just going to do this and